what classifies the golden era or the so-called the peak seasons.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's start.
Yeah.
What do we? That's the first discussion. What do you and I consider to be the golden age of The Simpsons? Meaning, what do you watch up until? So anything after this season, you stop watching.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your answer?
So my answer would be the more classic example. I think a lot of people generally consider seasons 1 to 8 to be classic Simpsons. And that's typically what I like. That's what I own on DVD. I bought seasons 1 to 8 when the DVDs came out, and that's generally what I have fond nostalgia for. I go into 9, 10 every now and then
for the odd episode.
That's usually where it kind of falls off for me too. Is where I'm like if I'm doing, because I've done rewatches over the years, and yeah, that's generally where I kind of taper off.
So do you actually own the Simpsons DVD sets?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that like we're surrounded by?
Yeah,
right
I
now?
own 1 to 8 on DVD.
So you didn't buy 9 and 10?
I didn't buy 9 and 10.
Okay, so you excluded 9 and 10 from your rewatch.
Yeah, I did not rewatch 9 and 10.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how far you went. Like, we talked about this, again, just like Slash Cinema, we didn't talk during this period.
That's
like,
true.
We weren't communicating like, hey, what are you watching? We just said collectively, whatever you think is the golden era, that's what you need to watch.
Yeah,
that's up to you.
We wanted it to be sort of like a surprise when we have our lists and like what we discuss. So we did not watch each episode and discuss each episode together.
So you watched, just to reiterate, you rewatched. So your top 10 is from what season to what season?
1 to 8.
1 to 8.
And I have a few caveats. So I'd like to say, first of all, that like for me, 1 to 8 is iconic. It's classic. But in terms of ranking and evaluating them, I generally leave season 1 out because I find it's the genesis of the show. It's like it's hard to evaluate. It's like, oh, this is the first episode where like Flanders shows up.
Right.
And it's like,
and he's not even maybe like Flanders yet. They hadn't even found his character.
Some characters are not even like, they haven't found their footing yet. Yeah. The writers are getting the animation down. The animation's often very stilted. It's still like growing from that Tracy Ullman period. And I find it's not interesting or fun to punch down or to like critique season 1 as much. There's some brilliant episodes in season 1, but for the purposes of my evaluation and ranking, I kind of just took season 1 off the table. I'm like, all right, like I really like Moaning Lisa, for example, but like there's a lot of episodes where it would be easy to be like, I don't care for this one as much. The show has changed quite a bit as well as the other thing. I think the show launches, and then gets its footing. And like the earlier seasons are more family based and more down to earth, more like grounded.
Yeah.
And then
they're less pop culture-y.
They become more pop culture, more meta.
Yeah. Yes.
The meta
more self-aware.
More self-aware. That gets
more satirical.
Turned up.
Yeah.
And so for me, I love like 2 hits the ground running, and then 2 to like 8 is just like perfect. It's like that's what I love about.
But you did watch season 1? You did rewatch it?
I rewatched a few. But like
okay,
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my golden era.
Okay.
What I consider to be the golden era of The Simpsons is season 3 to season 10.
You discounted 2.
So 1 and 2 to me are like, because you're a comic guy. So like, what is is Gold Age better than like Silver Age and Bronze Age?
Oh, in terms of comic books, yeah, it's like the Golden Age.
Right. So to me, Golden Age is season 3 to 8, and I would say Bronze Age is probably 1 and 2. It's very like rough. Silver Age is probably the shit.
Oh, you're saying, well, like the comics go gold, silver, bronze, like that just goes forwards.
Oh, they do it the other way because it gets worse in quality.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you call season 1 and 2 are the Dark Ages? Like the golden, they define
well, they would be the golden age because it's the start of everything, the origin
the Genesis.
of everything. The Genesis,
okay, well,
it's super important.
So to me, season 1 and 2, I never rewatched them.
Not even 2.
So hold on a sec.
Not even 2.
Golden Age is 3.
Heresy.
To me, 3 to 10 is Golden Age. However, so I did not rewatch 1. I own 1. It's sitting there in that stack.
Yeah.
I own. So on DVD, I own 1 to 10. Okay, and I always stop. I stop at 10. So I did not go past 10. And I know
that's
that
a nice even amount.
And I know you and I have debated about 9 and 10, and we're going to get to that when we get to the worst episodes, because unfortunately many of them came out of 9 and 10.
Yeah,
so there's a whole discussion there. But season 1, I didn't feel the need to watch, so I just didn't watch it because it's like it's just like a pilot of a show almost as like a season.
Yeah.
It's like it's so formulative that it's not even any. There's glimpses kind of what would become the Simpsons humor, but it is so rough.
They're creating it in real time,
right?
Before your very eyes.
Yeah. So it almost feels just like I just didn't even watch it. I did rewatch season 2. So I actually rewatched season 2, but I don't consider season 2 part of the golden era. It's got some gold in it. It's got some moments. But to me, season 3 is when Simpsons became Simpsons. Like Simpsons season 1 and 2 are just a little too rough for me.
I would say 3 is way superior to season
for sure.
1 and 2.
But to me,
I still think 2 is brilliant, and like I still have a fondness and nostalgia, even for 1 and stuff. But so like, now, I can see what you're saying.
So now you found it interesting that I went up to season 10.
Okay, now, that's very interesting.
Would you find it interesting that many fans go up to season 14?
Really?
Yeah, when I was reading, I read a little bit about like what most fans consider like golden age, and I think it's like people rank it differently, but it's like 1 to 3 is considered this age, and then like 4 to 9 is like the top tier, and then like the silver would be like 10 to 14.
Yeah, well, you've got Tracy Ullman, and then you've got into like the first season where they're creating the show, and I think the showrunners changed in like season 7 or 8. I think they actually.
Well, that's when they got rid of like the Conan writing crew, like that.
Well, Conan left in what, like 4 or something.
No, he must have been around at 5. No,
I don't know. It was like 4 or 5. He left to form the Conan show. I don't know
that. I will admit my ignorance. I don't know the history of the writers of The Simpsons. I don't know that. Like, I just genuinely don't know. I know like 1 to 3 has a certain feel. 4 to 6 has like to me. The peak of the show is 4 to 6,
and also the animation studios change. Like they use Korean studios, but then the animation styles change slightly, and like the budget and production changes. And I believe full on the showrunners like change hands sometime around like I want to say 7 or 8. I'm not super knowledgeable about that either. I know some of it, but
7. I can tell you when I was rewatching it, like when you hit 7 to 10 has a very specific feel. But then I think 11 to 14, that's the beginning of a real dark time.
Oh, really? So in your rewatch, did you call it at 10? So you didn't go into 11 or 12?
So I looked at the episode, like I peeked over
the fence?
just to see what was over there, and I was like, oh shit, you've got that episode? Oh, you have that episode? That's a pretty good episode. But then I was like, oh, you have that episode? Oh.
Yeah.